Gentlemen, welcome back to the agency. Today we're talking about the Optic to enhance your retro AR build and help you spot those pesky commies, now at 4 times the distance. The Brownell's Carry Handle Scope.
Last night I ordered U.S. military forces to Panama. This morning, I want to tell you what I did and why I did it.
Nexus target is...
Hudson, come in. You're coming in broken. Say again?
Nexus target is him. Jeremy.
Right there, I should have known. Right there, I should have known.
He even has people in the task force.
You should have told us, Hudson. You should have told us.
Shoot him in the head, Espo.
Hudson?
Idiot.
What are you so smug about? Huh? What's going on? Huh? What's going on? What's going on? No! Gentlemen, welcome back to the agency. Today we're talking about the 4x20 carry handle scope. Take a shot every time I say retro and optic. So here I've got the Brownell's 4x20 carry handle optic, right? It is part of their retro reissue that they did a few years back. And essentially what it is it's not really even a reproduction, it's like a production because it's back again because the original manufacturers are tooled up and they're making these again. So that's pretty cool. And they have been for the last few years. So we're just gonna talk a little bit about it today. We don't have the back of a truck, we have the back of a Ford Focus, so that's what we're gonna be doing this behind. So a little bit about the history on this thing. So back in the late 60s, 70s, a few units in Vietnam were using these. It was never issued in mass quantity to troops in Vietnam, but it did find its way on some rifles over there through like MACV-SOG or long range reconnaissance patrol guys. Individual units were using funds to buy these optics, or even individuals were buying them on the civilian marketplace and putting them on M16s and CAR-15s. In the early days, they were made by a company called Realist for Colt, and Colt made the 3X and a 4X scope. Later in the 70s, throughout the 90s, a company called ACOG, I don't know how you say that, ACOG Optics in Japan. They made those optics from the 70s to the 90s, and then in recent history, when Brownell's did their retro reissue, they contacted the company in Japan and said, hey, it'd be really cool if you guys tooled up again and started making these scopes. And the Japanese still had all the tools and whatnot to be able to do it, so they're making it again. Why it's not really a reproduction, it's more of just like a being produced again, if that makes sense. So this scope, like I said, was served a little bit in Vietnam, and then you can even see pictures of it in the early GWAT, serving on top of M16A2s alongside the ACOG at the time. Pretty much your grandfather's ACOG, right? That came out at a time when optics were not being fielded by troops the way that they are now. It's kind of unheard of outside of like a sniper role or a designated marksman kind of role. It's just not something you were seeing a lot of. So you had guys in the jungle that were carrying these, decades prior to the introduction of the ACOG or the VCOG that the Marine Corps and stuff uses today. So this scope actually features in the original Call of Duty Black Ops, although they don't mount it on a carry handle. They kind of remove the carry handle and then just kind of bolt it right onto the upper receiver. Of course, Black Ops is very anachronistic, and I see guys getting mad. They're watching the Black Ops 6 trailer and they're getting in their feelings about seeing an EOTech in 1991, but anachronism is a part of Black Ops, and it always has been. Of course, you didn't have guys in the 60s running around with red dots, but nobody's complaining about that. At most, they would have had either these optics or the Armson OEGs, which was kind of a red dot, but not really. Funny enough, those Armson OEGs are on the those guns in Star Wars. I don't remember the exact name of it, but it's in that as well. So what is this optic? It's about as basic of a scope as it gets. This is a 4x20 duplex reticle. If you've ever played a video game with a sniper in it and you look through the optic, that's exactly what it looks like. Nothing special at all, right? It's just a traditional kind of scope. Originally, they were $300 and they were worth it when they were that much. Now, because they have Colt licensing, they recently just got the Colt licensing, they're about $400 now, and I don't really think that it's worth it for that price point. It is cool, especially if you're looking for trying to clone something, or you really just want that old aesthetic with modern hardware. It is a cool thing to get. However, I think if you're looking for something that's useful, there's some better stuff I think on the market, even like primary arms and whatnot with their prisms. You're gonna get a little bit better value with something like that.
Excuse me, soldier. Why has the U.S. invaded Panama?
Well, you know, just cuz. So on the side here, we've got the knobs. You know, these are just caps that you remove, and then you can take around the casing. I'll actually show you guys. So if you remove this turret, you can take the casing of a 223 5.56 cartridge and adjust it that way. That would be for windage, and then on the top for elevation. And this top turret is not just the elevation knob, but also a bullet drop compensator for hundreds of yards. So if you see, I'll flip it on this side. So as you see right here, it says range, yards times 100. So right now it's set to 1 to 200, and then you just twist this out to 3, 4, I think this is 4, right? And then 5, did I go past? Yeah, I went past 5. And then 5. So the scope is calibrated, is that the word, calibrated, I think? Is calibrated for 55 to 62 grain. Now this is an A1 upper with the A2 handguard on it, so I'm only gonna really be able to stabilize 55 grain out of this. So that's the ammo I used. That's the ammo I used when I zeroed this. I zeroed this at 100 yards. The further you go out and whatnot, you can, you know, adjust that turret for whatever distance you're shooting at. And then of course back here you've got a lock. There's 2 rings back here. This one closer inward loosens up the focusing ring, and then you can just twist this to focus, and then you can lock it back up like so. Really nothing special about the scope. And then at the bottom, you got a so at the bottom of the scope mount, there's a screw that sticks out, and then there's a clamp here that you line up with the carry handle, and then there's knob you just twist on until it's tight. And then I put a little bit of Loctite on that screw just to make sure it's held in place. And that's pretty much all there is to the scope. Gentlemen, if you are interested in supporting the channel, I do have a Patreon that you can go, link will be in the description below. You can go support the channel. You get a little bit of extra content on the side. You get to be in the Discord. I have a video coming up here soon where I basically took a couple different builds and I gave my guys a scenario in order to build out like a budget loadout, and they're going to be participating in that. I also have a store if you want to go visit that. I got some cool shirts, more designs on the way. Any little support you can give the channel is much appreciated, but of course you don't have to. It's all optional. So that's all. So is it worth that money? Like I said before, I don't really think it is, unless you are a retro nerd and you like stuff like that, like I do. I really appreciate stuff that is like reproductions with modern hardware. So like if I had an original Colt 3X scope, I probably wouldn't want to like beat that thing up too much because I would try to hold its value, I think, and maybe just put it on like a rifle you don't really shoot. But I like to have stuff that you can kind of like beat up. I think that's kind of cool that, you know, if this breaks, it's like, well, they make more of them. I can just buy another one if it really gets to that. I think if Aimpoint and Surefire made like Aimpoint 2, 3, 5,000s, but modern with like modern hardware and reliability, they're sitting on an absolute gold mine. That would be extremely cool, but of course they're not gonna do that because, you know, Aimpoint doesn't need our money. So you can buy these on Brownell's website. They do have the Colt licensing now. If I were looking for an optic like this, I would probably look in the secondhand market, try to get it for around 300 bucks, because that would be a little bit of a better value than the 400 that they're asking for now. This does not have the Colt licensing. This is just the Brownell's licensing. Now it says Colt on top. So if you're really trying to get your clone correctness down, you can buy those new $400 scopes if your heart so desires. Do you think Larry Potterfield and the guy from Brownell's have like old guy beef? I wonder about that sometimes. Gentlemen, that's all I got for you today. It's been a simple video, but I wanted to kind of showcase this optic and just bring out the old A1 again, because why not, right? Gentlemen, that's all I got for you, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.